24 hours, Salman Khurshid's tone and tenor have changed completely. This is the sternest message that's been sent out so far from New Delhi to Islamabad. Will the government now be able to walk the talk? Joining us on the center stage face-off tonight, we've got Dr. Abhishek Singhvi, national spokesperson for the Congress party. We're joined by Ravi, Shankar, Prasad, General Secretary and Chief National Spokesperson for the BJP. I want to go across to Dr. Singhvi first. Dr. Singhvi, the BJP will come out and claim tonight that it is because Sushma Swaraj took such a strident position, because she put pressure on the Prime Minister, that the government has now been forced to do a complete U-turn. Yesterday, the External Affairs Minister was talking about moderation, about diplomacy, about the need to go easy. Suddenly, the tone and tenor has changed. Is that because of pressure being applied from the BJP, sir?
I think it's time that we realized, Rahul, that in such matters we have to speak in one voice and not give these kind of political comments every time. I certainly cannot speak for the BJP, but let me tell you that the Government of India's reaction from day one has been unequivocal, as it should be. The Congress party, for which I speak, has in the most strongest terms condemned it. And I can tell you that how much you see on the surface is only a fraction of what is happening beneath the surface in such diplomatic matters. When you say it's not business as usual, you can rest assured that the Government of India, with, I would imagine, support from every quarter of political life in this country, would take a large number of physical, economic, diplomatic, social, cultural measures, many of which you, I and Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad are not in a position to discuss on channels. But it's no point nitpicking or, sniping at each other, because the whole nation is outraged and shocked. The Congress party will support any degree or length of measures by the government, and you can rest assured that those measures are already in the sense of having an initiative.
Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad, are you sensing a change in the government's tone today? Because the government essentially says that the BJP is playing the role of a highly irresponsible opposition. When Sushma Swaraj comes out and says that we want 10 heads for the one head of the Indian soldier which was severed by the Pakistani army, the government believes this is unnecessarily jingoistic. It plays up sentiments and does no good to the relationship with Pakistan. How do you respond to what the Indian government is saying, Mr. Prasad?
Well, Rahul, neither I am going to be provoked by your comments, not by Government of India's or Congress Party spokesperson's comment. It is a sensitive issue. The country is in peril. The PM has spoken. I wish he could have spoken earlier. From day one, Arun Jaitley and Sushma Swaraj have been talking that India needs to respond in a tough manner. This morning, the National Security Advisor met Sushma ji and Arun Jaitley, where Sushma ji and Arun ji both again conveyed the deep sense of revulsion in the country as to what Pakistan has done to India's shoulders. It was in fact an attack on a sovereign India's territory. Now, in that view of the matter, if the PM has chosen to speak, we appreciate that. We don't wish to take any credit. But having said that, if the government seeks the opposition cooperation, we are willing to render it, because strictly speaking, if the PM has spoken, it cannot be business as usual Pakistan. There is a need to walk the talk. And Rahul, in the context of what is happening in Pakistan, now 2 and 2, the entire scenario is becoming very clear. It is a very well laid out choreography. Please completely discredit the political establishment for whatever it was left. It was already shaking from the beginning. Here comes a very nice speaking English speaking cleric who is saying everything good about the army and everything bad about Pakistan. The massacre of Shia are well known. And the intervention of Supreme Court, we appreciate Supreme Court in exposing corruption. But ordering the arrest of the Prime Minister is truly something unusual. Earlier removal also. The judiciary not speaking a word about army. All these things point out towards one clear conclusion. And Rahul, what is that? It is that this attack or ceasefire violations, it happened also in the evening, as the channel showed, is a part of a choreography. Absolutely. And the choreography is, please develop jingoism in Pakistan, army is the only savior, permit infiltration in Pakistan, the killing of punches in Kashmir, all this is a part of great design. In that view of the matter, the Government of India must ensure two things. A, our borders are secure, and B, the armed forces must be given the freedom to act appropriately in a professional
But it's
manner.
all been building up.
Their morals.
You put it really well, Mr. Prasad. It's all been building up. The writing has been on the wall, but because so far the Indian establishment was looking at Pakistan with these peace-tinted glasses, Dr. Singhvi, therefore Manmohan Singh and the UPA government was not able to see the reality which was writ large on the wall. We were hoping against hope that there will be Aman ki Asha, and therefore even though all these signs were there for us to see, we still could not put the dots together. Today you've been forced to do a volte-face because all along you got your Pakistan policy wrong.
All these words are yours, Rahul. They are subjective. They are totally untrue. Volte-face, wrong. Let me tell you that it is precisely because we must prevent Pakistan from using Indian threats as a pretext or an excuse for setting their own internal house in order that we must not fall in their trap. Government of India is very proud of the fact that our consistent foreign policy has been hope for the best but always be prepared for the worst. And let me tell you, do you think that the statements you've seen from the army head or the navy head or the air force head, do you think those statements come without consultation or interaction with the political leadership? Do you think our preparedness, the levels at which we can not only protect ourselves but can impinge a cost and a price upon Pakistan, do you think that is not done in very close consultation with the political leadership? So I think it weakens the entire thing when either a political party, but more particularly screaming headlines from channels or anchors suggest this kind of, volte-face. What is a volte-face? Volte-faces don't happen in 1 week.
It happened in 24 hours.
Now,
it happened over 24 hours between the foreign minister's declaration at Thimphu in Bhutan, and now the government changed tack entirely. There was a meeting yesterday where the three service chiefs made a presentation to the Prime Minister. In 24 hours, the entire outline of the government's position was changed, sir. That's a reality.
Rahul, in a democracy, you are entitled to your choice of words and your views. But a lot of people, and I would bet that those far outnumber your view, think otherwise. When you have meetings with heads of state, when army chiefs meet and consult, they don't do it in 1 hour or 2 hours after the event. They consider the options. Now, if it's so simple as pressing a button to declare war on Pakistan, I think India is fully capable of doing it. We can outdo Pakistan any time on that. But tell me if that strikes your fancy or any right-thinking person's fancy. These have to be very closely monitored, calibrated responses. And let me tell you, please rewind to November 2008. The amount of international pressure, opprobrium, embarrassment brought to bear upon Pakistan by very consistent Indian diplomatic efforts alone, I repeat alone, apart from a lot of economic and political efforts which are not visible to the media.
No, you mentioned 2611.
Now, I have no doubt that this is happening again.
No, it is important to take that up, Mr. Prasad.
It will happen again. 1 minute more. 1 minute more.
Yes.
Pakistan is bursting at its seam. It is very clear that its status as a failed state has caught the imagination not only of the world but even within Pakistan. Obviously, these are not normal judicial review actions. This is a breakdown of each of the equilibrium of each of the three organs of state in Pakistan. So I think our response has to take all that into account and not provide any pretext to kind of prop up weak regimes inside Pakistan.
No, but it is being argued by some people tonight.
Takes into account all that.
It is being argued by some people tonight that the Prime Minister could be playing to the gallery, Mr. Prasad. He realizes that there is anger and frustration in India over the fact that Pakistan is denying all our claims. Because I have a quote here which he made shortly after 2611. He says pretty much similar things to what he said today, that there will be a cost if suitable measures are not taken, such attacks will not be tolerated, we will take this up strongly with our neighbors. And a few months later, as the anger subsided, we got back to this forgive, forget, talk to Pakistan, hug them, this whole business of Aman Ki Asha came back to the table. Are you concerned that the Prime Minister is currently playing to the gallery and a few months later he will once again bring back his peace initiatives and reality will be forgotten, Mr. Prasad?
Well, Rahul, as a principal opposition party, I would wish to trust the Prime Minister as to what he has spoken today. Therefore, I have said, please walk the talk.
Absolutely.
But since you have raised the issue, let me flag certain concerns. And the first concern would be that it is high time the rules of engagement with Pakistan needs to be defined. What are the red lines? It has to be very clear. You remember I held a press conference the day this ceasefire violation happened and our soldiers were given the most brutal treatment. It is time to revisit, reappraise, redefine the whole contours of Indo-Pak relationship. Sharm el-Sheikh doctrine cannot go. Pakistan is our neighboring country, good luck to them. But we cannot completely ignore history as to what has happened in the last 65 years. There has to be continuous vigilance. And let me take this opportunity that when Mr. Musharraf came to Agra, Agra failed because President Musharraf was reluctant to acknowledge the threat of terrorism. 2004, it could recommence only when for the first time on 4th January 2004, President Musharraf in an agreement with then PM Bajpai agreed for the first time in 60 years that Pakistan shall not permit its territory for terrorist activity against India. That became the red line. I'm sorry to say, Rahul, that was forgotten. It is time India be very clear about it. Yes, I can see some change in 24 hours. I saw yesterday Salman Khurshid saying that we have invested too much into the peace process, which we cannot jettison all the way. I also heard him on your channel today. But since you talked of 2611, let me just tell you why it is important to draw to the red lines. We have given so many dossiers. Have they taken action?
True.
Mr. Rahman Malik came to Delhi and they said we have filed FIR against Hafiz Saeed. And your channel showed in that FIR not even a mention of his possible link in 2611 attack. The courts were bound to acquit him or leave him altogether. Therefore, this kind of duplicity, this kind of misleading misadventure, because Rahul, we need to understand one thing. Who controls Pakistan? It is the army establishment, the ISI, who allow a political process to prosper for 2 to 3 years, then back to chorus, army ko wapis lao. And what is happening today? An army knows a strident anti-India stance only justifies their overpowering existence. Unless we understand that and calibrate our response, we shall not have any talk. We will be vigilant unless Pakistan responds.
But can Abhishek Singhvi explain, sir, please, to our viewers, how is it that the government will walk this talk? You've come out and said that Pakistan will be put under pressure and made to accept that it was actually the Pakistani army which is responsible for these beheadings. Pakistan is flatly denying it. What is it that the government of India intends to do to get Pakistan to admit, sir?
Look, denial is a part of Pakistan's very existence. That should not at all surprise. What should surprise you is even partial acceptance of anything by Pakistan. So let's not worry about that. There was similar denial in 2611. There are denials prior to that.
No, but that time you had proof.
We have to look at
that time you had phone recordings, you had GPS navigation recordings. How will you prove it in this case?
Let me explain. The way this works in any country or in any country of any note and major strength is that you have multiple points of contact where you can extract a price and a cost. Pakistan knows it. How it is most effective, cost effective for India is the whole exercise being done to find out. It does not mean that we just shun away and start sulking in a corner like an angry boy. No, because that only helps Pakistan. You have for over the years done many things in the peace process. Some of those things need not be affected because they affect only the common man. Certain train rides, certain visas, certain trade. But equally, there are pressure points where Pakistan is pressurized tremendously. And that is the difference in a calibrated response versus a blanket response. Let me tell you, and I don't mean it at all accusatorily. I'm giving you a matter of fact. After all, in the NDA government, there was a huge attempt by Mr. Vajpayee to try to build bridges to Pakistan. Otherwise, why would he take a bus ride? What happened? It was followed by Kargil. Despite Kargil, within 2.5 years, there was another attempt by him to call Mr. Musharraf to Agra. Now, could he have sat in a corner and said, no, we will not see the face of Pakistan ever, although you had this problem? You had Parliament attack, you still had Agra. But the point is, that process will go on separately. And I am not at all blaming, I am saying that process should and can go on separately, but it does not mean, and you should never think it means, that we are letting down our vigil.
No, but
We
one
are going
quick
to,
final
I
word
have earlier heard
from Ravi
Pakistan
Shankar Prasad. Mr.
For
Prasad,
example,
you know, now we're seeing Pakistani hockey players being sent back. We took that issue up on center stage. Immediately after that, the players weren't allowed to play. They've now been asked to go back. The liberal visa regime has been put on hold, but people would argue by saying that all the cost is being made to bear on people-to-people tax. The Pakistani army is still not being penalized. They don't have anything to fear. They know they can do what they want and get away with it. How do we penalize the Pakistani army, Mr. Prasad?
First of all, let me put certain things in right perspective. I was a minister in Bajpayee government. Agra happened before the attack on Parliament. Agra failed. Mr. Bajpayee told bluntly Mr. Musharraf, no deal because you failed to acknowledge terrorism. Nothing happened thereafter. 2004 is recognized for the first time. There was no trade, there was no visa relaxation, etc., etc. Well, I would put it rather differently. What is the need for visa relaxation? What is the need for this favored nation status? What is the need for having trade? After all, we can be very blunt. Sorry, nothing will happen. It doesn't mean if we stop talking, the next logical step is war only. There can be a whole range of diplomatic maneuver, coercive diplomatic maneuver.
Absolutely.
And tell Pakistan, as we did from 2001, 2004, we will not talk to you. Nothing happened. The point is very clear. There are enormous ways in which the government of Pakistan can be made to feel
absolutely
the pinch, and there are ways. After all, our government, Pakistan, was isolated world over. After all, Pakistan is an epicenter of world terror that happened. Because Abhishek, today I didn't want to score a point over you, but since you have asked me, let me clarify. The Sharm el-Sheikh doctrine was wrong. Equating Pakistan as a victim of terror with India was wrong. I'm sorry to say that. But since you are asking me this question, it is time to change these mindsets.
Abhishek Singhvi, very quickly, very briefly, I'm also out of time. Final comments.
Let me tell you two things very quickly. 2611 is a good example of what can be concretely done after Pakistan does this. I'm giving only a few concrete things. I've said the other things already. For example, 900 odd million, I forget the figure, 900 odd million at one cut was cut in military aid from US to Pakistan. We all know, and those who've gone into the details know that, and some of our parliamentary delegations where I've been part of or led know that, happened 90% because of Indian working behind the scenes. That really hit the Pakistan army. It hit where it hurt. There was a similar set of policy measures taken about ostracizing Pakistan completely after 2611. Do you think Pakistan, whatever little progress it has made in terms of trying to cooperate or do evidence or prosecution, etc., after 2611, or indirectly accepting that things have happened, is not because of all those steps? So things do work, but it is the international world where your power stops at your boundaries, and short of outright declaration of war, you have to do these things incrementally, calibrated, and that's something which takes time. It can't be spelt out in public, and it can't happen within a few weeks. And let me tell you, some of the government statements in the last few days have indicated to you and hinted at what other things India might or can do.
Well, make no mistake, there's been a big change in the official Indian government position in the last 24 hours. Between what Salman Khurshid said in Thimphu and what the Prime Minister told us at the Army Day function, there is a big change. There is a convergence of view now between the BJP and the government. Yesterday there was belligerence. Now the onus is on the Prime Minister to walk the talk. He says it will not be business as usual. We can't forgive and forget like we did after 2611. We need to put Pakistan under constant pressure, and the Pakistani army must face the consequences. I'm glad the government and the Prime Minister have understood that. Dr. Abhishek Singhvi and Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad for joining us on the center stage face-off tonight. The government and the opposition going head on head. Thank you very much, sir.